Hey guys, welcome back to the Endgame Faction Wars series that I'm running, where I'm just going to showcase all my best teams and all the factions, just all of them. And of all the factions, I gotta say, Knight Revenant is probably the absolute worst for your general person. Not necessarily for me personally, although I think this was my final faction to complete. A lot of my clan mates, this is the one they complain about the most. It's probably last on the list for a lot of you, and there's a reason for that. And the reason is the boss, because he can do that thing where he resets his HP. So if you haven't brought enough damage to take him down completely, it's a problem, because he can make that fight last forever if he wants to. So here's what I've got going on for my team. You know I like to have a token rare, so here's my token rare. It's Guardian. He's kind of an incredible rare. He can put counterattack on himself, and he puts a bunch of buffs up, so he's sort of the perfect mischief tank for Hydra. He might not be the best in the game. That's probably somebody like Krisk, but I don't have Krisk. I do have Guardian, and I'm a big fan. I strongly recommend building him as your token rare if you don't know who in the faction to build, because he is amazing. He's got block buffs. He's got there's just a lot in his kit. I don't know, take a look. I'm blanking on exactly what else is in his kit, but there are a lot of things that make him fantastic. In the lead, we have the only legendary on the team. Oh no, I do have two legendaries on the team. I used to use Skullcrown Sinesha, but I got Hegemon, and I built Hegemon to nuke, so it occurs to me that's the Void legendary I've got. Not particularly accessible. I also have Drang, with his cool little, entombed body on his back. I love the design of Drang. It's so cool. His kit is also super cool. He's the one putting all the flames on everybody. He's super duper beefy too, and he's got an HP aura in addition. So you put him in the lead and your beefy team becomes even beefier. He doesn't need accuracy either. So that's just a really awesome thing. And you know what? Here's the thing I forgot about Guardian as the token rare. You can put the counterattack on him, and when he attacks whoever hit him, he's got two chances to remove a buff from everybody he hits. So every time he gets hit, he's going to try to strike off this block damage, the counterattacks, and it is important to have the ability to strip some buffs, just in case. I didn't put him in a stun set, but I did put Skullcrown in a stun set, so we do still have chances to get those stuns off. So the crowd control is largely coming from Skullcrown at this point. I mean, that's basically it. Hegemon has some crowd control too, but I built him for damage. Skullcrown is also built for damage. Skullcrown is like queen of the epics. Particularly if you have Sinesha and Skullcrown, you can pair the two of them, and they're just amazing everywhere. But Skullcrown is the perfect campaign farmer. Like if you're looking for one, you look no further. You got a couple of rare options as well, right? Like you got Fellhound, you got Abyssal, but I really like Skullcrown. She's perfect at a lot of this stuff. This is a rough run. I hope we don't fail. I think this team might even fail occasionally. It's possible. Because this brings me to the final member, which is Rector's Wrath. Honestly, I'd like to replace her with the... there's another reviver in the faction, another epic. But for now, I've got Rector's Wrath. She brings a lot of heals. She brings the Veils. This is a particularly difficult wave. And I prefer when I can get through the wave quickly, when I can maybe hit things at the right time, get out the block buffs with Guardian. It's one of the many things about Guardian that makes him great, but we did not get lucky, and now this run may be rather long, although it looks like we're chewing through the waves at least. But Rector's Wrath, amazing champion. Often you can get her for free. I don't know if there's still a code that allows you to start with her. I don't know if I'd bother restarting just so that you could get a Rector's Wrath. It's not like she's the best, even of the single target revivers, but it's hard to say. Of the epic single target revivers, she'd maybe be number 2 or number 3. Honestly, the best one would be Godseeker and Eerie. You know, Plarium, if you're watching, you should make a code that gives people a free Godseeker and Eerie. People would really appreciate that. Great champion to start the game with, because honestly, you can use her everywhere. Rector Drath, sort of true too. She's kind of like a mini Duchess in her way, because she does get a lot of these veils, and the veil, as long as the veils are up, you get all these heals pumped out as well. And Drang is also good for the heals. But right now, he's really only healing himself particularly well. Come on, Rector, get the others back up. We want to get Skullcrown back up. That's what we want. Although finally we've chewed through most of the team. This is not my fastest faction, even on the best of days, though. Honestly, this run isn't bad for what we've got. So I think I stand by what I said early on in the video, which is this is probably the hardest faction for a lot of you, and it may even still be the hardest one for me. Maybe the hardest one for me is Ogres, just because I don't have a lot of decent Ogres. And I do have decent-ish Night Revenants. It'd be nice to get through this, though, so we could look at the boss. Talk about the boss. I already talked about the boss. So come on, guys, you can do it. We got one left. She's under her counterattack, which is, of course, going to make this take longer. The only guy that could remove the counterattack is dead. Hopefully he can get back up sometime this century. Super close now. Super duper close. And down she goes. Finally. So hopefully, sometime soon, Rector Drath will get our Guardian back up. But even if we can't, Drang is pretty good at keeping the pressure on. The boss can, of course, reflect all your debuffs back on you as well. And when Guardian's up, and this is yet another thing that's good about Guardian, particularly the way I built him. I actually built him with high resist. So if he gets targeted when the boss tries to reflect the buffs and steal the buffs, reflect the debuffs, do the exchange, if the boss targets a high resist champion, it doesn't work. So that's a really good thing if you can build somebody with enough resistance to just avoid the buff steal. It makes him a little bit easier. The HP reflect thing is not reflectable, not resistible, but now you can see he's keeping his buffs, and hopefully he should be able to just keep this up now. I don't really think this team can blow through the remainder of his HP before he gets an opportunity to use this, but it's definitely going to be fast enough to take him down in 12 rounds. So when I first went through here, I didn't have Drang, I wasn't using Guardian, and I didn't have Hegemon. Instead, I think I was using Skullcrown Sinesha. Sinesha, I think, was in a toxic set just to put out as many poisons as possible. Useful particularly when you got here. There was a legendary Night Revenant called Versulf. You don't see him a lot. He's not exactly a popular champion, but at the time, he's one of the only legendaries I had. So I built him to nuke to get through the boss, but I think this team is even faster, which is really saying something, because we've been here like 9 minutes. But hopefully, this will still go quickly enough. Can we do it in under 10? Can we do it in under 12? I don't know. First time I completed Night Revenant to get Lydia. This was the final one. And my very first time, I think I did a manual run and it took 45 minutes. I just really wanted to make sure nobody was dead at the end of it. I can't guarantee this run will be like that, but it probably is, because it's a pretty robust team. It was even more robust when I had Sinesha in this slot instead of Hegemon, come to think of it. I think my theory was that Hegemon, because he's built as a nuker, that he'd be able to nuke through faster. But honestly, this isn't that much faster. Maybe I should just go back to using Sinesha. Because Sinesha does get a double shot once he's down below 50% health, in addition. But it is what it is. I built Hegemon. I wanted an excuse to use Hegemon wherever I could. I built Guardian. Guardian's been good to me as far as rares go. But the very first run, 45 damn minutes. But then at least it was finished. So, how about you guys out there? You guys have any horror stories about how long it took you to complete Faction Wars? Are any of you done Faction Wars yet? Do any of you plan on finishing Faction Wars ever? Or do you feel like it's going to take you 600 years to get there? Because it can feel that way, but in my case it took me 14 months. And the final faction was this one. And there's a reason for that. It's a very difficult boss, difficult waves, difficult to get the right champions for it. But there you have it. Endgame. I'm able to do it. Usually I don't stand around watching it because it kind of sucks. But anyway, thanks for joining me. See you on the next video. Take care.